South Africa's news and information leader.
And now for a travel company with a difference. Andulela is a pioneer in interactive travel experiences in Cape Town, which introduce holidaymakers to authentic cultural tours in South Africa, and often with a hands-on participative aspect. Monique le Roux is the manager and founding member of Andulela, and she joins me now. Hi, Monique, and welcome.
Hi, Karen. Thanks for having me.
Now, I've taken a look at your website, and it's very, very good, I have to say, first of all. It's very easy to navigate, and it's very informative. And it's one of those things where you click on something and you find everything. It's very simple to get through it. So well done on that.
Thanks. That's my husband.
Well, a lot of these travel websites, we actually spoke to somebody, I think it was towards the end of last year, who was doing a whole survey on tourism operators in this country and how difficult a lot of them were to actually navigate their sites. So I don't know whether you knew about the survey or whether you've just done this anyway, but well done, because it's really good.
Thanks.
Now, I saw on here that you offer people an insider's view of the real South Africa, and what does that actually mean?
Oh, that's a big question. I think basically we want them to obviously see the landmarks that you have to see, but we also want them to meet the South Africans. I mean, our biggest jewel is really who we are and what we've been through and what it makes us. It's basically going behind the scenes or actually going into people's homes. When I say behind the scenes, it would be in a shop, for example, and the shopkeeper's going to take you to the store at the back and show you things and let you taste things. And if it's going into the homes, it's really with a theme like cooking together and really having a platform, an international or a universal rather platform by which you can interact and get to know some real South Africans, not just your local tourists on the bus.
And one of your tours is called Meet the People. The Meet the People tour, is that pretty much what you would do on that tour?
Yes, basically. That's actually in one of our partners' tours, and Ian from Coffee Beans Roots, and we've got quite a few tours that we do together with him, just because we have this common vision and a very similar way of doing things. But basically that's the whole thread of everything we do, is to meet the people of Cape Town.
Now, your philosophy is really this giving back, which really ties in quite well with your responsible tourism, which is part of the big part of the company.
Yes, absolutely. It's a funny thing, because a few years ago when we started the company, about 4.5 years now, it was quite a new theme for South Africa. Responsible tourism didn't really mean anything to anybody. So when we used to talk to the agents about it, it was like, oh, that's interesting, but no thanks. And so we said, yeah, mark our words, it will become a key element for tourism in general in the world, and in particular for South Africa. So besides it being something that could be a marketing tool, it really is for us in particular a passion. We couldn't do tourism without it. It's really about connecting. It's about building cross-cultural bridges, and it's not just for the international visitor. That's the remarkable thing about it, is it's actually about us, who we are, whether it's all the network of service providers that we work with, Lisa, who is in the Boer Kaap, or somebody in Kayamandi Township that we do drumming with. It's really the opportunity for us post-apartheid generations to connect in some way with these universal themes, making it easier, of course. If you can't eat together, cook together, make music together, well, then you've got a big problem. So, yeah, it's really a passion, and it's something that gives life to what we're doing. And we find we've got quite a lot of local, not only national visitors, but locals. I mean, Cape Townians who come on the Cape Malay cooking safari, for example, on a Saturday. And we're very grateful, because that way we really see that it makes sense not only to us, but to a larger public.
I think the nice thing about a lot of your tours is they're half-day or full-day tours.
Yes.
So you can be living in Cape Town.
Yes.
And it doesn't take a week of your time. It's like a day or half a day. So you can just pop along and do one of these, which is, I think, a big draw card.
Absolutely. And most of them are half-day tours or evening tours, which are also like 4 hours. And yes, as you said, you can fit it into your busy schedule. And it's just a start. I mean, if you want to take it further because you've now met this host that you've got on with, that's up to you. If you don't want to, well, you've already done a good thing by just being there and contributing to, most of the time, hosts that need the financial input, but also need that exchange, that cross-culture, because a lot of the people we work with, unfortunately, are never going to be able to travel. But that's another thing about, I mean, I could go on for hours, so stop me. But another thing that we do for responsible tourism that we feel is important, I was saying it's about us. It's about all of us who are involved in creating these tours and making them happen and making them authentic and alive. Is that we get together, Andulela will organize a get-together for the network from all the different communities that we work with, and we will have a cooking, cook up ourselves together and exchange recipes. And one of the most remarkable things that came out of the first one we had, which we only started last year, was that Roots restaurant in Kaimandi, he's now ordering spices from the boer Kaap from Lesa. So I find that's extraordinary. That's what it's about, really. It might sound like it's something small, but for us it's all those small things that make it work. So, yeah, and then we had another amazing feedback from another lady in the network from the boer Kaap, who said to me, let's just do this more often, and Andulela doesn't have to pay for everything. Let us all bring a plate of food and make a venue and make a party together. And I thought, wow, this has just made it worth my while already there. So, yeah, it's very exciting, and I think that part of responsible tourism is all of those things and a lot more. I think there's a lot more to discover.
The responsible tourism always sounds like something pretty serious.
Yes.
This sounds like a whole lot of fun.
It's fantastic. It's fantastic. But once again, it depends on who's involved, I think. And if you've got to really work with people who have a very similar wavelength, or it's not going to work. It's a business, but it's a social business. And it's a business with a vision. It's a business that's a few steps ahead as well from the rest of sort of mass tourism.
Now let's talk about some of your tours. Now with 2010 on the horizon, you've got the Cape Town soccer tour.
Yes.
Now tell me what happens if someone decides to go on that.
Okay, well, as with a lot of our tours, I would say 95% of our tours, what we do is we have a framework. And that means that we have different service providers that we can put together in different ways. So obviously with something like soccer, and by the way, we were the first Cape Town tour operators to create a soccer tour. And we're very proud of that.
Well done.
Thank you. But what happens is, depending on what's happening that week, if we've got a request, someone wants to go on a soccer tour, we say, fine, we want to put in a professional team, Ajax or Santos, for example, and we want to put in the younger teams, the up-and-coming teams, or teams that are in need. For example, we work in Gugulethu with Winnie's women's soccer group, and they obviously need the input. So we try to make a mix, and we try to keep it cross-cultural if we can as well, and try to show through this theme how it is an option through soccer, for example, in this case, to actually create these cross-cultural bridges and get to know each other a little more. And so what would happen is, if there's a game on, we may go to a professional game, and then we may have an interview with some of the guys in the locker rooms. Yes, ladies, that's a possibility.
You'll have them queuing up to book now.
Absolutely. And it might be on other occasions. It also depends on the client, of course, but it might be on other occasions having a friendly game with the all-women's team, and then you get your jersey and everything else, and you get your what do you call them in English? Towels to wipe off your face, and your wet wipes and all those kind of things. And then you go and have a boerewors roll with the team, sort of thing. It could be various things. Sometimes it's also, we're talking with one of the clubs about having a sort of a guest box when there are these games, so easy access in and out, but also finger snacks, then having one of the players come in and maybe comment on one or two things that happen during the game, if it's, half-time or he's an extra or whatever. So lots of different options, and it really does depend on who you are and what's happening at the time.